Hi everyone, welcome back to Mad About Cards and Crafts. Today I'm collaborating with my friend Debbie over at Debbie J's Crafting Corner. I'm going to link her video in the description box below. We are sharing Easter cards. If you haven't been over to Debbie's channel, please make sure not only that you check out her video, but check out all of the other videos that she has. She does do product reviews and just has an amazing channel. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe if you like what you see. I have a 6x6 stencil here from LDRS Creative, and I'm spraying some Color Blooms spray in Summer Sky, and I am drying it. Now the Summer Sky is not available, but that 6x6 stencil from LDRS Creative is. You can see that I oversprayed, so the top portion of this card is going to be a scene, and I didn't want a solid sky. I loved the organic look of the overspray at the top. Here I'm using the stamp set, also from LDRS Creative, called Hoppy Egg Hunt, and I'm stamping two of the stamps which will create a scene using Gina K Designs Jet Black Amalgam ink. And I am also going to stamp one of the bunnies in this adorable set. LDRS Creative has some amazing stamps. Angie does a great job over there. They have dies, stamps, stencils, cute little critters, florals. They just run the gamut. As I said, all of the products that I'm using will be listed in the description box below. When I do cut out my scene, I'm going to use my Brother Scan and Cut because the lines are not solid. They don't close. I am going to off-screen use a graphite pencil and just close off some of those lines. You can see where I've cut out the scene at the top, and I've also cut out the bunny. I'm realigning my stencil, which is super easy to do. There is pixie spray on the back of this. I cleaned off the front over in my sink before, obviously, I applied this with my purple tape. I have an embossing mat, and I am going to run this through my die cutting machine using the appropriate sandwich, and this is going to help me get a raised panel. So I wanted a little bit more something on this card. I love this stencil. I think it's absolutely beautiful, but I did want a little bit more dimension. There's a quick look at that. Isn't that so pretty? Unfortunately, the Summer Sky from Prima is not available. You can use any sprays. Distress spray would work with this. Prima does have other colors that are available. So I am going to start coloring my little images. Isn't that just so cute? I just think that these little bunnies are adorable. I'm using some C markers. I have C1 and C3. C3 is going to create my shadowing. C1 is going to blend out, and I'm going to leave my bunny basically white just with that little bit of shadowing. I'm using an R21 to color up the cheeks. I will come in with a micron pen. I love eyelashes on my bunnies, so I am going to add some eyelashes, and then I'll bring in a white gel pen and I'll add a little bit of freckles. I have a bunny story for you. So I adore bunnies. And when I lived in Germany, my husband bought me a bunny to keep me company while he was at work. And that bunny's name was Ashley, and we flew her home. So she flew on the plane with me from Germany to California. I did end up moving. We were stationed at Fort Knox, so I ended up moving her to Fort Knox, and we flew her back home when I flew home when we were finished at Fort Knox. So that bunny got a lot of mileage. My kids grew up with the bunny, so they loved bunnies. Well, Ashley passed away, and we were at a park, and there was a bunny that was super tame. She was gray and just adorable. The little bun was so cute that my kids caught her, asked if we could bring her home. It was obvious that someone had dropped their pet off, and we said yes. So we brought the little bun home, And just a few weeks later, she started pulling her fur out. And I had never seen a rabbit do this before. I had no idea what was going on. I put her in a box in the bathroom because I was afraid to leave her in her cage. I didn't know what was going on. And when we came back, we had little bunnies. And we had about 8 of them. Well, we built a cage because we figured out who were the boys and who were the girls. And we kept them all. And we separated them. And my friend came over to watch the bunnies or to feed them while we were on vacation. And we told her to be very careful to make sure that the male bunny didn't get mixed up with the females. Somehow he did. We came home. He had his legs crossed. He was laying in the female's cage and he was smoking a cigar. He was one happy guy. Long story short, over a short period of time, we ended up with 22 bunnies. Yes, 22. I wouldn't get rid of them because I was afraid that people would buy them to eat them. And I eventually was able to give some of them away to people in our homeschool group. But boy, 22 bunnies. Yes, we did have 22 bunnies at one time. Crazy, right? I'm going to talk about the coloring a little bit. For the Easter egg that the bunny is holding, I used V1 and V4. For the sign, I used E29 was my darkest color, E31 and E34, I believe. I used RV2 and RV0 on the pink egg on the left of that bottom scene. And then I used a B91 and a B26, I believe, for the other egg. The grass I'm coloring using G00 and G02. So those are all of the colors that I'm using. I added texture to the sign using the E29 and the E33, it was E33. And now I'm going to use some Versamark ink to stamp the egg hunt onto the sign. So these are not huge pieces, which makes this upper third of the Slimline card perfect for my scene. And this set comes with chicks and bunnies and the little sign and the eggs, and it is so cute. And this pastel paper, holy moly, this is called Pastel Patterns. It is also from LDRS Creative. It's a Slimline size, so 4x9, and I am going to finally pick out a houndstooth, a blue houndstooth, and I am going to use that for my background. Now I thought that it was blending just a little bit too much, so I am going to bring in a lavender piece of cardstock from Paper Tray Ink, and I am going to cut that down 1/8 of an inch bigger than my floral card panel. That floral card panel, I did use Cat Scrappiness Wonky Stitched Slimline to cut it out with, and it is 8 1/4 by 3 1/4 if I didn't mention that. I am hoarding this Pastel Patterns paper, so after I cut this down to 8 1/2 by 3 1/2, I'm actually going to use that same paper trimmer and I'm going to cut out the center of it as best I can so that I can use the middle section of that paper at another time. So here's how my layers are going to go. And my scene is going to go up top. It will cover that white area that was left by the stencil. I have that piece of houndstooth paper that was left over when I trimmed it down. Initially, I thought I was going to use this purple to break it up, but I decided not to use that little sliver. I'm going to come back in with some twine. So we're going to start adhering these pieces together. I'm using my art glitter glue. My final card is going to be 8 1/2 by 3 1/2. So I did take a piece of 8 1/2 by 11 piece of paper and I cut it down to 7 inches on one side, and then I scored it at 3 1/2 to get a 3 1/2 by 8 1/2 inch card base. I did use Neenah Solar White 110 pound cardstock. So here I'm adhering that. I'm going to add some foam dimension because you do know I love my foam dimension. I'm going to add it to the back of this little bunny. and then I'm going to adhere it to the front of my card. I do decide that I want to pop up that panel that has the stenciling on it, so I'm going to use some X-Fasten adhesive, and then I'm going to pop that up. So here's where I'm adding that little houndstooth piece. I just think that it adds a little bit more. It breaks up the scene and adds a little bit more interest to the front of this card. Have you checked out or used any of the LDRS creative stamps and dies? Let me know in the description box below if that's a stamp company that you've purchased from before. I did get these over at the Not Too Shabby shop. Unfortunately, Jamie does not have them available right now, so I did link them at scrapbook.com, who also has them available. I'm using some purple tape after wrapping my twine around twice. I will end up using my reverse tweezers on the bow for the front after I release this, remove this release paper from the back of my panel, and then I will carefully center that onto my card, and then I will add my little bun. As I mentioned before, if you didn't follow along on the Lawn Fawn Fans Hop, I did mention that Easter cards are some of my favorite cards to make. I absolutely love Easter. Easter and Christmas are my two favorite holidays. Easter, I love the warm weather. I love springtime. Spring is one of my favorite seasons. I mention this over and over again as I'm a warm weather girl. And so it always makes my heart happy to make an Easter card. I do participate in a couple of swaps, so I have some swaps that I'm sending these cards out for, and then I'll send some other ones to my friends. I do a little bit more religious cards for some of my friends, so I will send those out to them. So here I've adhered that bow using some art glitter glue, and that is pretty much going to be my card for today. Please make sure that you head over to Debbie J's YouTube channel. My goodness, I couldn't get that out. Head over to her YouTube channel, check out her video, show her some love. Thank you so much for watching. I hope I can be back next week or later this week with another Easter card. And until next time, have a fabulous day.